So today we're going to talk about the 5 big mistakes that women with PCOS typically make and how to fix them. And if you don't know me, my name is Dr. Cheetah Davda and I'm a women's health coach specializing in PCOS. I've gone through my own journey, feel free to go back and watch previous videos on it, and today I'm going to be teaching you about the 5 big mistakes that I've seen women make. So the first mistake I have seen, and I was guilty of this too, is cutting out carbs. And the reason you need carbs, especially if you have PCOS, is because these are the fuel for your body. So this is actually going to help energize you. And it is also learning about carbs. There's, good carbs, there's bad carbs. And what I basically used to do is I'd cut out things like bread, pasta, rice. But if I had to have some pizza or have a little bit of chocolate or cake, I kind of let that slide. So what we want to be aware of is carbs aren't just things like chocolates, cakes, rice, bread or pasta. It's also actually things like our vegetables and our fruits. So carbs are things like strawberries, bananas, blueberries, also things like our broccoli, our lentils, our beans, and this has also got fiber in there as well. So when it comes to managing your hormones and really supporting and controlling your PCOS, carbs are going to be key, and we want to make sure we have them in every single meal. So as I mentioned, it doesn't mean that you can have chocolate all the time, but if we have the right carbs and we plan it well, it's going to be a no-brainer. And not only are you going to manage your PCOS, it's also going to help when it comes to losing belly fat as well. Then the second biggest mistake I see so many ladies with PCOS make is focusing on the scale weight. And the reason I say not to do this is with PCOS, I find the scale weight can be 2 weeks delayed for a typical person. But what you'll notice is that body fat is going to go down and your clothes are going to start to feel looser. So instead of focusing on that number, that scale weight number, which is going to fluctuate up and down, yes, it will go down over time. I'm living proof. I lost over 15 kilos from my PCOS. What is going to be your better metric is actually looking at your body and measuring your waist circumference, looking at how your clothes fit and how they feel. And there are other massive benefits when you're on a journey. It could be having clearer skin, because as we know, having acne is a side effect of having PCOS. Also having more energy, not having brain fog, not having hair fall out, also not having a hairy face anymore, and having regular periods. So there are lots and lots of things which can make the biggest difference in terms of progress, and it's not just going to be that scale weight number. So that's one thing I do not want you to fall for, and I don't want you to focus on that scale weight. And I'm just gonna grab this. Then mistake number 3 that I see a lot of people make is just taking random supplements and falling for those detox teas. And again, I can say that because I've fallen for all of these mistakes myself. So when it comes to supplements, it's really important to make sure that you've got your baseline blood work done first. Because if you're just taking random supplements or things that you've seen online, what you need to remember is sometimes there can be certain influencers who may have a bit of kickback money if they promote those supplements. But another thing is they may actually do you more harm than good, and you may end up spending a fortune when you really don't need to. So supplements that I fell for that really weren't needed were things like inositol, berberine, spearmint tea, and sadly I fell for all of it because I was following certain accounts. They said to go gluten-free, dairy-free, and it really just wasn't needed. So what we need to be aware of is always get your blood work done first. Yes, there may be some supplements that may be needed and may have a benefit, but I would make sure that you've done your research first and making sure it's the right supplements for you. And then things like detox tea, spearmint tea, they're not going to get rid of your PCOS and cure it, and they're not also going to help you lose body fat if your food and everything else isn't in play. So what I want you to do is, instead of trying to find the quick fixes or the things that are going to help, is actually focus on you. Think of yourself as a whole person, your mind, your body, and then have something that's really personalized based on your blood work, seeing how you feel, making sure the progress is happening, making sure the changes are happening in your body, but also giving it a good amount of time. 1 day, 2 days is not going to be enough. You need to give something a good couple of weeks, make sure you're doing it consistently. And when I say consistently, I mean that including the weekends, for you to be able to see a change. And then the 4th mistake is ignoring sleep and stress. And I cannot highlight how important these things are for you. If your sleep doesn't go well, your body isn't going to be able to rest and recover, and your hormones are not going to get balanced, and they're not going to be happy. So it doesn't mean you have to, sleep 8 or 9 hours, but your quality of sleep is very important, more than how long you sleep. So things that can have an impact on your sleep are going to be things like your caffeine, making sure you're not having this too late. Other things can be if you're super stressed. So if you are stressed, again, this is going to slow down progress in terms of balancing hormones, especially when it comes to fertility side of things. And what we want to do is learn to manage stress. So this may be something like doing a brain dump, writing out your thoughts before bed. This could be something like journaling your thoughts. This could be something like celebrating gratitude every single day. And another really good way to help regulate your nervous system is really working on doing some breath work and meditation on a daily basis. These things do not take time, but they are going to make the biggest difference when it comes to managing your hormones and managing your PCOS. So if there's one thing that I would like for you to take away, is to really work on your sleep patterns. And again, trying to be really consistent with these even on the weekend. And then the fifth mistake that I see so many ladies make is not getting the relevant blood work done. And that's going to be covered in a whole nother video. But once you get the right blood test done, you can actually start to understand you and your body, and then making sure you have some personalized approach. And what you need to be aware of is if you've got insulin resistance PCOS, you're at a very high risk of developing type 2 diabetes and also having high cholesterol. And if you have high cholesterol, then you're going to have a higher chance of having a heart attack, having a stroke. And also with PCOS, you have a higher risk of ovarian cancer. So this is why having your blood work done is key, and checking things like your vitamin B, your vitamin D, even checking things like your cortisol, your testosterone, your thyroid. There's a whole host of things. And sadly, doctors may say that you're in the right range, you're within normal, but that doesn't mean it's optimal. Because how we do things is we base things on your lifestyle, we base things on your age. So if you're 30 years old, it's going to be very different, your optimal level, to if you're 80 years old. And sadly, the doctors will do the same range for most people. And it's very important to remember that men, females, they're going to have different ranges. And I'm going to be honest, I fell for all of these mistakes. The hundreds of ladies that I've coached have also fallen for all these mistakes. But what I want you to reassure you is you can eat carbs and still manage your hormones. You can still see progress on the scale weight, but focus on your body fat, because that's going to be the biggest difference. Don't take random supplements and drink random teas. They're not going to work. So make sure you get your blood work done. Then if you need to supplement, at least you know it's the right supplements for you. Also learning about supplements, quality, grade, all of that is massive. And really focusing on your stress and your sleep. Because if you're super stressed, but you're working out and you're eating well, you're still going to get that stubborn body fat. And if you're not sleeping much and you're doing everything else right, again, it's not going to fall into place. So let me know your thoughts on what mistakes you're making or which ones you've fallen for. And then keep a lookout for the next video when we're going to cover things about PCOS in a lot more detail.